For the first prayer, I'll chant the translation, and the rest of it will be in the introduction of your Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam yena
Saksharopenena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave
I
Namaha.
was born in the darkest ignorance. And my spiritual master opened my eyes to the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhuram Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jaitam Sarato Pangu Mama Mandamatir Gati Matsara Sabadam Bhoja Shri Radha Brahmanda Pramite Kwana Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Sabadam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, today we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text 4.
2.
Is it 2? I'm actually checking if everybody is awake, just few of us.
Good point.
Yes, it is text 2 indeed, because last verse was taken by His Grace Radha Govinda Hari Prabhu. Yes. So, can anyone tell us what this chapter is entitled?
I can't say, but I have to be.
Quite, yes. Knowledge of the Absolute. Krishna Priya Maji just realized. Okay, so this chapter is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. So which tells us that this chapter is going to tell us all about Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Truth, right? So first let's read the text and then we will begin our discussion with Srila Prabhupada's purport. Jnanam teham savijnanam idham vakshamya sheshatah. Jnanam teham savijnanam idham vakshamya sheshatah. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamya sheshatah. Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj. Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj. Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj. Jnatavyam avashishyate. Jnatavyam avashishyate. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamya sheshatah. Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj. Jnatavyam avashishyate. Anyone would like to chant?
Jnanam teham savijnanam.
Jnanam teham savijnanam
Jnanam vakshasya sheshatah.
idam vakshamya sheshatah.
Idam vakshama sheshatah.
Idam vakshamya sheshatah.
Yagyatva neha bhuyanyam.
Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj.
Yagyatva neha bhuyonyam.
Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj.
Jnanvaktam vashishyate.
Jnatavyam avashishyate.
Jnanaktam vavashishyate.
Jnatavyam avashishyate.
Jnanam teham
Jnanam teham
savijnanam.
savijnanam
Idam vakshamya sheshatah.
idam vakshamya sheshatah. Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj. Jnatavyam avashishyate. We'll read the word for word and then if anyone would like to chant the shloka, we can have one more go at it. Would anyone like to read the word for word? Yes, and we'll repeat. Jnanam,
Phenomenal knowledge.
phenomenal knowledge.
Te,
Te,
unto you.
unto you.
Aham,
I,
sa,
sa,
with
with
vijnanam,
vijnanam,
numinous knowledge,
numinous knowledge, idam, this, vakshyami, vakshyami, shall explain, asheshatah, in full, yat, which, jnatva, knowing, na, not, iha, in this world, Bhuyaha, further, Anyat,
anything more,
anything more,
Nyatavyam,
Nyatavyam,
knowable,
knowable,
Avashishyate,
remains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation, please repeat. I shall now declare
I shall now declare
unto you
unto you
in full
in full
in this knowledge
this knowledge,
both phenomenal
both phenomenal
and numinous.
and numinous.
This being known,
This being known,
nothing further
nothing further
shall remain
shall remain
for you to know.
for you to know.
Reading the translation again, please repeat. I shall now declare unto you
I shall declare unto you
in full
in full
this knowledge,
this knowledge,
both phenomenal and numinous.
both phenomenal and numinous.
This being known,
This being known,
nothing further
nothing further
shall remain
shall remain
for you to know.
for you to know.
Anyone wants to read the purport? Monica Mataji, yes, please go ahead.
Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all times of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas say, I'm going to try this. Kasmin nu bhagavo vijayanta sarvam idam vijnanam bhavati.
Thank you, Mataji. So, would anyone like to read the shloka or chant the shloka once more before we begin? Anybody?
Jnanam te hamsa vijnanam
Jnanam te hamsa vijnanam
idam vakshyami asheshatah
idam vakshyami asheshatah
yajnatva neha bhuyonyat
yajñātvā neha bhūyonyāt
jnatavyam avashishyate.
jnātavyam avashishyate. So in this text, Shri Krishna, after having told Arjuna in the first text, now hear from me, tat shruno, he says, right? And how does he say? Hear from me very attentively, right? So it proves to us that out of the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam is one of the most important and is the key. If you notice, we've had so many stories that have been told to us from Srimad Bhagavatam. We've read or come across so many devotees of the Lord. And if you connect them, be it the 9 devotees who are prominent for their Navavidha Bhakti, or any devotee, their process of surrender begins with Shravanam, hearing, right? So that is why hearing is so important. Now, after having told Arjuna to listen very attentively, Krishna here says that, I shall declare to you this knowledge. What's Krishna going to declare to Arjuna? Knowledge. So according to whatever little bit we know, can anyone give a definition for knowledge, or what is real knowledge, or what is knowledge? There's a kid there. What's his name? Yajat. Yajat, can you tell us what is knowledge? I cannot see you actually. Can you sit, come in front?
Come, Ajay.
You can come right in front. Yeah. Thank you, Yajat. So what is knowledge? From whatever you know.
So knowledge is something what you know, something you basically know
About?
Could be transcendental or material.
Okay, it could be transcendental or material. Point on, right? So knowledge is to know something. He's correct, right? But we will obviously learn what is real knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. So as per Yajat, and from what we know, knowledge is to know something. Anyone differs on this point? I don't think so, yes. So knowledge is to know both material and transcendental or spiritual topics. So Sri Krishna is telling here that I am going to declare unto you knowledge that is material and numinous, or about the spirit, right? So real knowledge is to know who we are, who is the supreme absolute truth, how this whole world functions, this cosmos, the universe that is existing, how is it really existing? This earth that's floating in the atmosphere like a cotton ball, how is it floating? Who is helping it float? And what is the mechanism behind this? This is real knowledge, right? And through real knowledge, we will cut through the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. That is real knowledge. Not making us more attached to this material world, not making us more attached to sense gratification. That is what, unfortunately, all of us are going through in this material world. We're being put into institutions that drill us to further gratify our senses, right? So here Krishna says, complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. So as per Krishna and Srila Prabhupada's purport, he says that what is real knowledge is to know the phenomenal world, the material world, and how this material world is functioning, who is the spirit behind this material world, and how this whole thing functions, right? So that is knowledge. And knowledge, as far as we know, it has to be obtained from the right source, right? All of us go to some sort of institution or the other. Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhu. And in those institutions, we are given some guidelines to follow, right? And without following those guidelines, will we be able to take advantage of the institution or what it offers us? No, we have to follow certain rules and regulations, right? Be it our schools, forget school, even play schools and kindergartens, the schools, the colleges, any institutions, the offices, for that matter, even the houses we live in are controlled and managed, and we have to follow certain rules and regulations, right? So this material world is managed by the Supreme Controller. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Anybody heard this prayer before? Is there anyone who has heard this prayer before or not heard? Okay, Mataji has heard. I'm sure not the obvious few, but the others can tell. Yajit, have you heard this prayer before? Okay, so I'm going to explain to you a little bit about this prayer. So this prayer is spoken by Lord Brahma. Brahma is considered to be the engineer of this whole, cosmic manifestation that is there, right? The universe. He's the engineer behind it. But that engineer, he's saying there's a supreme controller. And who's that supreme controller? Krishna, right? Krishna is that supreme controller. Govinda, he is the supreme controller. And he is offering his respects to that supreme controller. We are always managed or controlled by some living entity in this world, right? If not someone higher, someone lower, right? Or we're controlled by some sort of situation. We're always controlled. And if you notice, there's always some controller above another controller and above that another controller, right? And if you keep searching who's the controller of this controller and that controller, and finally you'll reach out to that supreme controller, Sri Krishna, right? So Brahma says Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, and he is that controller. He is the creator, he is the maintainer, he is the friend, he is all in all. Sarva Karana Karanam, he says. Cause of all causes, right? So that cause of all causes is revealing the supreme absolute knowledge here to Arjuna. So should we go beyond Krishna and reach out knowledge, learn knowledge, gain knowledge from somebody else? Or is it okay we gain knowledge from Krishna?
One step at a time.
One step at a time. So what does that mean?
What it means is Krishna has to be responsible to somebody. So
Okay.
let's get through Krishna first, and then we'll talk about
Oh, so you think there's somebody beyond Krishna we can gain knowledge from? Okay, that's a point. It's a good point too, yeah. But we'll come to that later. Let's go on to Srila Prabhupada's purport and see what he has to say about further about this verse. He says that Krishna wants to explain the system of knowledge because Arjuna is a confidential devotee and friend, right? So knowledge or real knowledge cannot be gained by anybody. It is not easy to gain knowledge, real knowledge by anybody. For that, a person has to be a true devotee, a friend, someone who is surrendered to Krishna. Okay, forget Krishna and Arjuna here. Let's go on to the institutions that we talked about, right? You have to surrender yourself to rules and regulations of an institution to study something and get the certificate and graduate out of it. You have to follow the rules and regulations of the government to be a good citizen, right? Similarly, or surrender to the rules and regulations of the government to be a good citizen. Similarly, to gain knowledge in any path, you have to surrender to somebody. Here, Arjuna, because he was surrendered to Krishna and because he's a friend of Krishna, he was able to gain that confidential knowledge, which not everybody can get, right? Also, Brahma says in the Brahma Samhita that only a person who is anointed with love for Krishna, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena, only that person can, only to that person will Krishna reveal himself. And only once Krishna reveals himself will we be able to gain that knowledge, right? Which we are after, right? So Arjuna, because he was a surrendered soul and because he is a friend, Krishna says in the 4th chapter itself that because you're my friend and because you're a soul surrendered unto me, I am giving this knowledge. And also Arjuna, in the 2nd chapter also he says, Shishasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. He says that, right? He says, oh Krishna, I'm so confused now. You are my guru, you are my friend, you are everything for me. Now I'm a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me, please guide me. So Arjuna is actually surrendering, and thereafter Krishna is taking him forward and he's giving him the knowledge, right? So we have to surrender ourselves to be able to gain knowledge. We have to follow rules and regulations to be able to gain some knowledge, okay? So let's go on to the next line of Srila Prabhupada's purport. He says that complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotees of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. So we have to follow a certain parampara to gain knowledge. I'm just connecting the dots with Srila Prabhupada's purport, and then we can discuss whatever questions you may have around, involved in this purport. So a disciplic succession is you have a guru and then you have disciples who follow the instructions of the guru to the 100% or to the T, they say, right? The instructions of the guru are their guiding lines, right? So here, Srila Prabhupada is an instructing guru for all of us. He's, they say Jagat Guru for all of us. Srila Prabhupada never liked to be called that, but yes. So Srila Prabhupada had his disciples, and we are following his disciples or disciples of his disciples. So we are following a certain parampara, and our parampara is called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And there are 3 other paramparas that are authorized to be followed, right? Does anyone know what the other 3 paramparas could be?
If you allow me, I can.
Yeah, no, not who knows. We want everyone to be engaged here. You can give it a try because here we've come here to learn. There's no need to be shy.
So she can tell one.
Okay, Prabhu authorizes or approves one parampara. You can say one parampara.
Okay,
Kumara Sampradaya, Mataji. Shri Sampradaya, Prabhu. Rudra Sampradaya. Okay, all 3 are covered by the 3 corners. So, Brahma Madhva Gauri Sampradaya, of which Brahmaji is the head. Rudra Sampradaya, of which Lord Shiva is the head. Shri Sampradaya, Lakshmi Devi is the head. And Kumara Sampradaya, the 4 Kumaras are the head. So, if anyone is following these 4 paramparas, they get knowledge which is not broken or which is not tainted. They get pure knowledge as it is, okay? So I'm just introducing the paramparas. We are in the right parampara. And if you have any friends of yours who are following any other paramparas, they're also in the right path, right? So this is just to give you an idea of what the 4 paramparas are. So Krishna is saying, if someone follows, Prabhupada in the purport, he's saying, if someone is following a disciplic succession, only then such a person can be able to get this knowledge directly from the Lord. Because the knowledge that's coming from the Lord is flowing to us from these 4 paramparas. What are the 4 paramparas? Brahma, Madhva, Gauriya Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, and Kumara Sampradaya. One more time.
Brahma Kumar Sri
Kumar Sampradaya, thank you. So these are the four Sampradayas, and we follow the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Okay, sorry? Yeah, okay. So Prabhupada says, therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes and only object of meditation in all types of yoga practices. So from the first chapter till the 7th chapter, we've come across various yoga practices, and we know that ultimately all these yogic practices are helping us connect to the Supreme Absolute Truth, Sri Krishna, right? And in the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham matgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yumam samayukta tamomata. So he says that a yogi who's a person or bhakti yogi, he is the topmost of all the yogis. Okay, to summarize that. So in the 7th chapter, Krishna is revealing the knowledge to Arjuna, and he's telling first, Shravan, hear from me attentively. Second, once you know what is the purport of this whole verse, once you know Krishna, there's nothing further for you to know. That doesn't mean Krishna's devotee don't know what's going on in this material world, right? Krishna's devotee know everything, because once you know Krishna, who's the source of everything, then you know about the material stuff and the spiritual stuff, right? When you read the Srimad Bhagavatam and you read the Bhagavad Gita, these two most important texts that we follow, you will know everything that is there to know. Why? Because in Srimad Bhagavatam, you have astrology, astronomy, you have physics, you have chemistry, you've got everything, and in the Bhagavad Gita too, right? So there's nothing further that will remain for you to know. That's what Krishna is saying. So once you know Krishna, who is the source of everything, who's the cause of all causes, and how will you know him? If you surrender unto him. And how will you surrender unto him? By following the 9 pros of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. If you follow any of these 9 processes of devotional service and develop love and attachment for Krishna, then Krishna will reveal this knowledge to you. Sometimes it could be directly, like Arjuna has this opportunity to hear from Krishna, and sometimes it could be through a representative of his, right? And how we are able to receive this knowledge is through his representatives, like Srila Prabhupada, who's given us this, wonderful transcendental purports, right? So, following the disciplic succession, surrendering to Krishna, only then will we be able to gain this knowledge of Krishna, right? And once we've gained this knowledge of the Supreme Absolute Truth, we will not have any ruchi for jnana and vairagya, right? Most yogic practices, for them, jnana and vairagya are prominent. Whereas for bhakti yogis, jnana and vairagya are part of their practice, because we don't give up anything. We utilize everything in Krishna's service, right? Like how wonderfully during the New Year's program, every one of you utilize the talents that you have in, glorifying the Lord. You engaged everybody in this Sangha in the service of the Lord, and you all remembered the Lord together, right? So Krishna consciousness is not a sentimental process. It's a science, yes. In Krishna consciousness, you have science. You have, practical science. That's what Krishna says here, right? Jnanam and Vijnanam. Vijnanam is practical science. So not just knowing who the absolute truth is, how the world functions, is also another thing, right? What is he like? Who is he? Who are his parents? You develop a relationship with that absolute truth. And then you do activities around the knowledge that you've gained. That is practical knowledge, right? So Krishna consciousness is not a sentimental process, rather it is a practical process. It includes everything that is there to know, right? So that's the last line of the purport, where Prabhupada says that everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains for want to know, right? And Mundaka Upanishad also confirms this point about nothing further will remain for us to know. So I just have one question. When we think of, like Prabhu just said, one step at a time, we will first hear from Krishna. He has to be accountable for someone. And then we will see if there's something further, right? So Krishna does not say that he is the Supreme Personality first, right? Well, he does. But not just Krishna, but there are so many authorities who are saying loud and clear to us that Krishna is the Supreme Absolute Truth. Krishna is saying it at some point in the Bhagavad Gita. But before that, there are various devotees of his declaring this point. Acharyas are declaring this point. And Krishna's friend Arjuna is revealing this point. And while he reveals so, he says that he makes it a point to say that not just me, there are Asita, Devla, Vyasa, so many Acharyas, so many devotees are declaring this point. So, if we still have a doubt that there's somebody or something higher than Krishna, then I'm afraid we are all, subjected to the four, defects of this Kali Yuga, and therefore we are not able to understand that there is nothing higher than the Supreme Absolute Truth, Shri Krishna, right? So, this age of Kali, Kali Dosha Nidhi Rajan, it is full of faults. And what are the four main faults of this yuga? Quarrel. People are quarrelsome. People cheat one another. They're short-lived. Mandaha sumandamatayo mandavaga. And they are misfortunate. Right? So, do we agree? Do you see these qualities in the age of Kali? People are misfortunate, unfortunate.
Very much.
People are quarrelsome for every small thing or silly thing also they fight, right? Then we cheat one another somehow or the other. Maybe a white lie, maybe a whatever lie, but we cheat one another. Then propensity to cheat. Then we see these qualities in the age of Kali, right? But the Lord, the text or the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Asti eko mahadguna. There's one good quality about this age of Kali, and what is that? Kirtanad eva kritsnasya. That we are able to perform the Sankirtana Yajna, glorify Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna. And here it says in this text, Yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj, right? Yajna. Yajna is offerings to the Supreme Absolute Truth. And in this, sorry, I'll just look the word for word. Yajñatva here says, which knowing Jnatva, knowing, na, not, yat, that. So, okay, here the words say that after knowing or having heard Krishna, there's nothing further that will remain for you to know. And that is actually what yajna also does, right? When we offer oblations or when we offer something as sacrifice to Krishna, it helps us connect with Krishna and helps us know Krishna, right? So in this age of Kali, the recommended yajna or sacrifice is Sankirtana yajna. And the recommended process of Sankirtana yajna is Sankirtan. What is Sankirtan?
Collective, remembering
Collectively chanting or glorifying Krishna, right? Collectively chanting or glorifying Krishna. And that's what we do every Sunday together. We collectively get together. Not just one person talks, but we discuss, we chant, we not just one person sings, but we also, all of us sing and repeat those words that we hear. Not just one person claps, we all clap together, because that is the process of Sankirtan, right? Clapping hands, playing instruments, glorifying the Lord with the words that are given to us in the parampara. These are not words that we've written or we've come up with. It is not composed by us. These words that we chant, the prayers that we chant, the verses that we chant, they're all been handed over through a parampara, right? Does anyone require any help understanding what I'm saying? Translations? Nothing? Okay, it's crystal clear, right? Very simple. So, Krishna, he appeared in this world in the Swayam Bhagavan, as Swayam Bhagavan in Dwapar Yuga. But he also appeared in various other yugas. In this age of Kali, he appeared as his own devotees to understand the mellow of transcendental devotional service to him as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he propagated the Sankirtana Yajna because he understood what that mellow is. So I often quote this line from Tamil which says, Yamkanda inbam periha vayyaham, which means whatever happiness I enjoy, the entire world should enjoy it. So Mahaprabhu, he relished that transcendental joy of what Radharani enjoys when Srimati Radharani enjoys when she serves Sri Krishna, right? So because he came in Radha Bhav, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, right? So when Mahaprabhu came and realized the love that he has or the joy that he gets in serving Krishna through the transcendental holy names, he said, this should not be just for me. And he gave it to everybody. And all his associates gave to everybody. How many of us do Sankirtana all day and all night? We're not able to do it, right? But Mahaprabhu and his associates, they used to do nocturnal kirtans, they would do kirtans in the day. Their only thing that they did was chant the Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha. They chanted the holy names of Krishna and they gave these holy names of Krishna to everybody, right? So that is why we are reading these texts. That is why we are taking the association of Srila Prabhupada every Sunday, if not every day. That is why we are all getting together to understand the joy of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Because there is nothing else that will give us joy in this age of Kali. Nothing else. I mean, that is a fact that has been told by the Lord and by the Acharyas. If there is anything else that is giving us joy and happiness, then trust me, by the words of the Acharyas, it's very temporary and short-lived. Temporary means short-lived, right? So in this age of Kali, we've been recommended to follow the process of transcendental devotional service by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that kalmashas that we have in this age of Kali, the accumulated dust that we have within our hearts after having taken many, many births, that can be cleansed by chanting the holy names of the Lord. In Shishtastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Dharpana Marjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidhyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So this Shri Krishna Sankirtan is like the benediction moon that has come to give us the joy and happiness. Well, the translation is very big, but the crux of this is that this Sankirtana Yajna purifies our heart and allows to awaken the love that we have for Krishna. This Krishna consciousness that we all talk about is not something that's given to you. It's something that you have, it's awarded, it's already within, it's within you, it's there, but you don't know it is there. Why? Because we've taken so many births, right? In this birth, I'm in this female body, and Yajat is in that male body, we have various objects around us. They also have souls, and they're all in various forms, right? And in the previous birth could have been something else, and in the next birth we don't know what we are going to be, right? So the whole thing that we do in this lifetime is going to affect our next lifetime. That is why we have to gain this knowledge, the knowledge of the Absolute, that will help us go on to the next life and serve Krishna better. Well, I don't know if I have, I've not exceeded the time for sure. We have another 10 minutes. So I just have one point that I want to make from. Does anyone have a question in the meantime? I see some of us are very sleepy today because of the weather. But I hope I have driven home the point that Krishna is saying that once you hear from Krishna, fill in the blanks. Once you hear from Krishna,
Nowhere else to go.
no, that's not what Krishna said. He doesn't say you don't have to go anywhere else, because he gives Arjuna various options. He says, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. Now I've told you everything. Now you decide what you have to do.
That's the
Right?
ultimate knowledge.
Yeah. Sorry?
That is ultimate knowledge.
Yeah. So that's not the ultimate knowledge. What Krishna is giving us options, but ultimate knowledge is knowing that there's nothing beyond Krishna. Knowing that what we have is what it is. You don't need to search anything beyond this. Because we follow something called, a descending process of learning. We are learning the easiest way, right? If we have to deduce, if we have to, come up with theories and understand, we cannot do it, because in this age of Kali, our senses are imperfect, right? Our senses are imperfect. If we switch off this light, I've heard this example in various lectures, we cannot even say the rekhas in our hands, right? So what to speak of, coming with our own philosophies and theories? We'd rather follow somebody who's been, ordained, or, who's been blessed by the Lord, right? So as per the summary of this text is, if you hear from Krishna with attention, with pure heart, and surrender to Krishna, you will know Krishna because you've surrendered to him. And once you've surrendered, Krishna will reveal himself to you, and then there will be nothing further for you to know. And because the recommended process in this age of Kali is the Sankirtana Yajna, if we follow the instructions of the Acharyas and Mahaprabhu and chant the holy names, minimum 16 rounds of holy names daily, your days will be sublime, your days will be blissful, your years will go by in serving the Lord blissfully. You will not find any difficulties in your life. Everything that comes to you, you will feel it is a blessing of the Lord, be it difficulties or happiness. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, that's it from us today on this text.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you for explaining
Yeah.
very well. So there is I just want to share one thing I read, right?
Yeah.
And it's about Charles Darwin, right? So
Yeah.
when he went on an expedition
Mhm.
to an island,
The scientist Chalda, yeah.
the theory of evolution, right?
Yeah, okay.
So on one side of the island there was one lizard
Mm-hmm.
of one species, and he traveled to the other side of the island, and there's another lizard of another species. So even within those species of lizards, they exhibited different behaviors. So he concluded that if there is a clock, there has to be a clockmaker, correct? So in this material world, any answer we may have an MD, this, that, we read Darwin's Principia, everything, we read that. The answer is this, it's right here. It's through our disciplic succession
Absolutely.
that they explain that this is the clockmaker. Krishna
Mhm.
is the clockmaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only comment I have.
Thank you. Yeah, it is absolutely. He is the supreme controller, and he is the cause of all causes. So you can say he's a clockmaker. Yeah, but
I mean, we are evolving,
Yeah.
so the theory of evolution exists, but the person who wrote that cannot explain why it exists.
absolutely. So that is our problem, right? We follow such people. I mean, you understood this, but unfortunately, there are so many millions out there who still can't go beyond those sects. They're not able to understand anything beyond it, right? Like they say, only fortunate few will get into the process of bhakti. Brahmanda Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasada Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. Only by the mercy of Krishna will we get a Guru, and only by the mercy of Guru will we get Krishna. And this, in the Brahmanda, only very few people are so fortunate. And Krishna also says in the next text, I think, Manushyanam sahaseshu kashadyati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashtimam veti tatvata. Out of many millions of people, hardly one person comes to know the truth. Krishna says, so many people will get, not a lot of people will get, but out of those people who get, also hardly one person will realize there's nothing beyond Krishna. That it is right for me to surrender unto Krishna. Surrender doesn't mean giving up everything. That is not what is recommended in this path of bhakti. Surrender means to believe, rakshishyati iti vishwaso, that Krishna is my protector. He is my shelter. There is no one who can help me but Krishna, like Draupadi did, right? Anyone came to help Draupadi when her sari was being disrobed? No, she thought she could help herself. The moment we leave this, egoism, the ego that we have, that I can help myself or my family can help me, the moment we leave this and we surrender to Krishna and realize that He is the only one who can help, by the words of the Acharyas, by the examples we have in the Shastras, of so many people, Dhruva, Gajendra, so many people, and people whom I've seen in my own life, it is a fact that Krishna comes to your protection. What is that shloka in the Bhagavad Gita? Where this, okay, let me end this class with a story. I'll just summarize the story. There was one devotee of the Lord, and he was such a sincere soul that every day he would read the Bhagavad Gita. He would try to understand the words of the Lord. And one day he was reading, and he had a doubt. How does Krishna say, I will provide what you lack and protect what you have? How can he do this? He's not here in front of me. He says this to Arjuna, but I've never seen him. Right? So how can he come and physically provide me something that I lack and protect what I have? So he underlined the verse, and because he's a sadhu, he went to do bhiksha, right? He went to take bhiksha because his wife said, oh, there's nothing, oh Swami, there's nothing in the house, so please, go for begging. Because he was so busy reading, he actually forgot to go begging in the morning, right? So by the time it was midday, people had already eaten, and when he was begging, there was no one to give anything for him. And so he went, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, and all the houses were shut, unfortunately, that day. So he was very worried. What am I going to do? What am I going to tell my wife? I don't have anything today. Are we going to starve today? So this is going on one side. And at home, his wife was waiting for him to come. And then two little boys came. One, Shamavarna, very dark, and one very fair and glowing. These two boys carried sacks of fruits and vegetables and grains, and they came and, they gave the wife of the devotee. And the wife wondered, who are these boys? They said, oh, we are your husband's disciples. Please take this your husband has sent this. So she took them, and as they put the sacks down, she noticed that one of the boy had like 2 lines on his back. And so she asked what happened. And the little boy was like, no, it was your husband. He did this to us. So she was very upset with her husband's behavior, and she said, okay, please sit down. Please, I'll make some, prasada, and you can eat and go. And then the boys are like, no, let us go, because, if your husband sees us here, we'll get more scolding, so let us go. So the boys didn't wait. They left the stuff and they went. In the meantime, his name is Arjunacharya. He comes back home and he's surprised.
Sorry to disturb you, but he cut the line and he wrote something in that.
Yeah, I'm just summarizing the story, so.
Time constraint.
Yeah, I'm just summarizing because I want to finish in 2 minutes. Okay, so he comes home and he smells this wonderful aroma of prasada, and he's wondering, I didn't send anything, I didn't get anything. Where did my wife get, stuff to make prasada? And she makes her husband sit and serves everything, and then he's like eating, and his wife is narrating what happened, and then he hears and he's like, who? 2 boys? I never sent anybody. Who are these 2 boys? Can you please describe them to me? And then she describes. And as she describes, he's shocked. He now realizes his mistake. So he washes his hand and goes back, and then he removes the word from the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So these 2 lines that he had marked on the Bhagavad Gita was the mark on the back of the boy, and that boy was Sri Krishna himself, and the other boy was Sri Balaram. So Krishna actually comes for your protection if you're sincere in your services, if you're sincere in your inquiry, if you're sincere in your practices, without a doubt. He had a doubt, but because he was a very sincere devotee, Krishna wanted to prove a point. So this is an example. 1, to tell us we should not scratch the Bhagavad Gita. 2, to tell us, come what may, Krishna will always protect us and guide us. And for that, we have to have real knowledge. And that we can get only from Sri Krishna or the disciplic succession. Hare Krishna. Any more questions? Anything you want to add? Yes, Prabhu.
I got one small question. Mataji. See, we have got 4 sampradayas. Living Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Vaishnava Sampradaya. Other 3 sampradayas are headed by exalted personalities.
Mhm.
Now, in the current Kali Yuga situation, that we are highlighting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is other sampradaya disciples also chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And what I have analyzed is that majority of the other sampradayas, they don't chant, majority of the people. Maybe some portion of the people who know the importance of it, they chant. The question is, these exalted personalities who are heading this, and it is authorized sampradayas, how come they are not able to take up easily? And because they are knowledgeable, it is not unlike a neophytes. They are knowledgeable personalities, and they are also following parampara. Parampara might have got cut in between, that's all fine. How come they are not able to take seriously on Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
So, anyone in the crowd can help me, but I'm just going to share whatever is coming to my head right now from what I've heard. So it's like this. In a class of 100 or in a class of 30, there's one teacher who's giving this knowledge. And every person gets the knowledge in a different way. Right? Only a serious student will come forth and ask questions, will learn the right process of doing something, and will probably get an A+ in class. Right? Similarly, the fountainhead of all religion, the fountainhead of all knowledge is Sri Krishna. And he's giving this knowledge accurately to everybody, and everybody has received it. The Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, we've been fortunate to have to be able to follow the footsteps of Mahaprabhu. The other Sampradayas, they have I would say they're like for us, it is Shravanam and Kirtanam that has been highlighted as prime, because we follow what our acharyas have been telling, right? Whereas in the other sampradayas also, as far as I know, the Sri Sampradaya also right now, in this age of Kali, they're chanting the names of the Lord. It may not be the Hare Krishna Mahamantra per se as we are chanting, but they're chanting, they chant Namavali, they chant the names of the Lord. For them, the prime is worshipping the Lord, doing Archana, Puja, chanting the stotrams from the from the Shastras. That for them, Puja or Archana is the main, and they also chant the names of the Lord, but it may not be the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So to come to just answer your question, not everybody, millions of people come to know about the Lord, millions of people have the knowledge about the Lord, but only very few or hardly one will know about Krishna, because they will get access to the transcendental holy names of the Lord. Just like Lord Shiva, when he got that tiny bit of Mahaprasad that Naraji had in his nail, he ate that and he became very ecstatic, right? So not everybody will get access to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But even if everybody gets access to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how many of us chant 16 rounds minimum every day? We all know chanting Hare Krishna is very important. It'll give us joy. It'll help us, get rid of so many difficulties in this material world. But do we chant 16 rounds minimum every day? No. Right? So even though they are all authorized and being headed by exalted devotees and who have received the knowledge in the right way from the Lord, somewhere down the line, not everybody is fortunate as we are. I mean, this is what I think. But I'll definitely research this point. Prabhu, you want to add anything?
No. See, all the 4
Paramparas.
paramparas, they actually are authorized because they will ultimately lead you to Krishna.
Somehow they are.
Yes. So we think that Rudra Sampradaya is actually belonging to, yes, the Acharya is Lord Shiva, but ultimately it's taking us to the Supreme Lord Narayana. So the process it may be different, like as Prabhu was saying, why the chanting is not there. So as you were correctly mentioning, the chanting is there, but the mantras are different. Like for example, Lord Shiva, it is said that the primary object of worship of Lord Shiva is Sankarshna. Sankarshna in the form of Lord Narayana.
This is Rudra Sampradaya.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is even said that in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says that the serpent who is around the neck of Lord Shiva, he is himself is Lord Sankarshna.
Sankarsana, yeah.
So there is a very close connection between the Lord and the devotee, right? Same way there is a close connection between Brahma and Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
There is a lot big connection between Lakshmi Devi and
Lord Vishnu.
Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
There is a big connection between the Kumaras and Lord Narayana. Right?
Absolutely.
So these people are very authorized, the devotee, so to speak, of the Lord, and they devise different methods by which we can approach the Lord. Now these are all the exponents of this parampara, and under these exponents there are acharyas, different acharyas. So under the Brahma Sampradaya, there is Madhvacharya.
Madhvacharya, yeah.
And Madhvacharya actually brought the most practical way of worshipping the Lord. The Madhvacharya is the exponent of the Dvaita Sampradaya.
Dvaita.
Dvaita Sampradaya.
Dvaita.
Because before Dvaita was Advaita.
Vishishta, yeah.
Advaita, which is propounded by Shankaracharya. And then Ramanacharya came, and then he has, exponented the Vishishta Advaita. So till that time it was Advaita. There is no difference between us and the Lord. And if there is no difference between us and the Lord, there can be a difficulty of doing seva. If I am actually hugging Ramesh Pandey Prabhu, can I do any service to him?
No.
No. Prabhu will say, leave me first and then do service, right? If I am hugging him very close, there is no service, So I have to, be away from him, become Advaita, become Dvaita,
Yeah.
become, separated,
different.
then I will be able to serve. So the most practical way of service was actually brought up by the Acharya, which is Madhvacharya. And that is why the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara is said to be more practical in this modern age. These other paramparas are more practical in an olden time, in older age, because that involves, as you rightly mentioned, dhyana, that involves, upasana, that involves, your tarka, you are actually, exploring more about the Lord, and that involves sacrifices and all these kind of things. But these kind of things are more and more become impractical as and when we actually get into this modern Kali Yuga. So the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara is more practical because we do seva in a most practical way. And again, after Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and then he made it even more discounted. And that was like, simply by Kirtana, it can become more accessible, right? So it's all depending upon the acharyas who come in that lineage, how they have made it much more accessible to the Lord. So we are so lucky that our acharyas in this parampara has made it very easy. It is said that by simply chanting and having prasadam, you can achieve Lord. Can it be any more easier than that?
No,
Easier than that, simpler than that? Just by chanting the holy name and having prasadam, using your mouth for two purposes. What is
Chanting.
for chanting and honoring prasadam. Right? It's not like eating whatever and lying. Instead of that, chanting the holy name, taking the holy name of the Lord, and eating prasadam, you can actually go back to God, which actually goes in line with Bhagavad Gita. So these kind of practicality, that's what it's what is it called? Numinous knowledge, vijnanam.
Yeah.
This is exactly what this numinous knowledge is. Jnanam is what?
Knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowing who it is.
And in our physics, if you remember, there is a theory class and a
Practical
class. Do you
class.
remember that?
Yes.
Right? So Jnanam is our theory, and numinous is our vijnanam, is a
knowledge,
practical thing.
yeah.
See, when we hear, Radha Sakhi was talking about this chanting, that is a theory thing. Now we go home and we check the
Try it
mala
out.
and chant, and after this thing we'll take prasadam also, right? So this is the numinous knowledge. So this practicality, what are we taking home and what are we practicing? That is very important. If it's actually theory, it always remains here. It won't come out of this brain or this mind, and
Just
it won't be
storing
practical in our
information,
system. So going back to Prabhu's question, there are different ways by which these other sampradayas are actually worshipping the Lord, and all this worship are authorized because this ultimately will take us to Lord Vishnu. That's for sure. If you do that nicely, you will take it. It's like 7 plus 3 equal to 10, 5 plus 5 is equal to 10, 2 plus 8 is equal to 10, and
Wonderful.
then 9 plus 1 is equal to 10. 4 sampradayas. Where is this leading us to? 10. Right? The process is different, but probably 5 plus 5 will be easier for me because there's only 2 5s. I just need to remember one number, 5. 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So it's comparatively easier because the acharyas who came in this lineage made this process much more easier for us. I think that's what I think.
And also, Prabhu, from what I've heard of late, because of the reach of the Brahma Madhva Gauri Sampradaya and the spread of the holy name, all of the Sampradayas are also, getting this, and they're trying to involve devotees in doing Kirtana for the Lord. So somewhere, it says, no, yajantihi sumedhasaha. Only the medhas, only the intelligent people will understand this, that following the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, singing the holy names of the Lord is only what's going to help us. So it's really the fortune of those few who follow the different paramparas. Some may be following different parampara, but because of what they're doing, they might end up in a process that will help them connect to Krishna faster. Right? I'm sure so many of us read, not all of us were born into the Brahma Madhva Gauri Sampradaya, right? We followed a different process of gaining knowledge, knowing the Lord, or spirituality or whatever. But we are fortunate that we have been able to connect to this parampara that can give us. So, like Prabhu said, Krishna has given us authentic sampradayas that will somehow help us to connect to Krishna, and that is really our fortune where we are when it's time, place, and situation. Yes, Prabhu.
Just a comment.
Thank you.
I don't know if Prabhu really had that question, but thank you, Prabhu, for asking that
Did
question.
you have it the same question?
Yes,
Okay.
and not only had this, I have been having this ever since I became part of the
Hare
ISKCON
Krishna,
movement.
okay.
Yes. I think I'm a very spiritual person by birth, just because I'm born in a family of Brahmins or so-called spiritual people or religious people, but by education and by practicality, I have been a very open-minded person. I am one who actually went against the fundamental principles of being a Brahmin boy or only getting married into a Brahmin family. Long story short, I've been always an open mind, so much so that I got married to, if some of you already know, to a Roman Catholic girl. But that did not leave my spirituality. And I always had this question. Now, when you're actually saying that, okay, we are fortunate to be born in one of those 4. No, I don't think all of us are born or being associated with one of those 4. There are people outside that also. But does that make them invalid? Or are they any different or less different from others? And Prabhu, you gave a very good example. Like 3 plus 7 is 10, and 2 plus 8 is 10, and 5 plus 5 is 10. I've always been thinking about it, and my attention goes to, who's that guy, Dronacharya used to train all these Arjuna,
Eklavya.
right? And Eklavya is, though he is not formally
A
his
student,
guru,
yeah.
but yeah, and he found that as a means to get that. So I think, in my personal view, it's just Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a means to get there, but that is not the ultimate means to get there. There could be different ways, like 5 plus 5 or something like that. Just a comment I wanted to make.
Yeah, that's nice. I like how you've taken home that point, but the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as we say, each yuga has a certain process that will help us connect to the Supreme Absolute Truth, and the one that is ordained for this age of Kali, as affirmed by the Shastras, is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Iti shodashakam namanam Kali kalmashanashanam nada paratara upaya sarva vedesha drishyate. All the Shastras, sarva vedesha drishyate. All the Vedas are shouting out loud and clear. Iti shodashakam namanam. These 16 syllables of the Lord. What will it do? Kali kalmashanashanam. All the kalmashas, all the accumulated unwanted stuff in this age of Kali will be cut with this, sliced with this sword of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when Sarva Vedesha Drishyati, when all the Shastras are saying that this is the process for this yuga, then humans like me obviously have nothing to say. So Prabhu, for me, and because Srila Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu has said, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when I read the Shastras, I read the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, whatever the Upanishads, that is secondary. But chanting the holy names is the only way for us in this age of Kali. If you were in another yuga, there would be another process that will help. But in this age of Kali, this is the last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam also says that Mahaprabhu came and gave us this. What's the last verse, Prabhu? I cannot remember. Srimad Bhagavatam. If you start, then I will remember.
Remember it. Beautiful.
It's about the holy name.
Sankirtana.
18th
Connected with the Sankirtana. No, 12th canto last is connected with the ultimate is Sankirtana Yagya. There is no other way.
One second, I'll take it.
The essence of entire Bhagavatam, it comes in the last sloka.
Okay. I have my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Chamano Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. So it says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all of material suffering. Doesn't mean that we don't have to work hard towards doing anything. Means that we have to do our activities and we have to relieve the rest to Krishna, right? Knowledge is to know about the 5 most important things that are told in the Bhagavad Gita. Who the Lord is, who the living entities are, what actions we must do, what about time, and about the material nature. If we have knowledge of this, then that is real knowledge, right? So the Srimad Bhagavatam, the text that glorifies Krishna, is telling us holy names of the Lord will get us out of all suffering. Mahaprabhu says that holy names of the Lord will help us alleviate all sufferings. Srimad Bhagavatam again and again, the first canto, second canto, in various cantos, it is saying chanting the holy names of the Lord will help us relieve material sufferings. Whatever situations we are in our life, including the holy name in our life, you don't have to stop anything that you're doing. We are in different situations of life. Whatever situations of life we are in, if you include the holy names of the Lord, please believe there will be magic in your life. Your sorrows will disappear and you will gain taste in chanting more holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gopmande Hari Hari.